I've seen things people wouldn't believe.
Hey, what's up guys? This is Brian from Whisper Status 74. Welcome to the community, welcome to the channel. If this is the first time you are seeing me, please consider liking and subscribing. We are real tech for real people. Today's video is on the Sony A80K OLED at 77 inches versus the LG C2 at 77 inches. Special thank you to Robert and Wendy Zone of Value Electronics for supplying the A80K as well as the LG C2. This was filmed in their Scarsdale location. Please consider making your next AV purchase through them. Check the description below for all of their information, their phone number and website. Be sure to tell them that I sent you. You'll be seeing some footage from the unboxing. There's Mr. Robert Zahn at the bottom unboxing. We filmed this last week and did an overview and a first impressions. Loving the A80K, the A80J, which I have the 77-inch version, which was also in that video, was an amazing panel last year. The A80K looks to improve upon that. And I do feel that it is an improvement, but very much like the improvement of the C2 over the C1 from what I can see so far. This was filmed very early in the day, so I will apologize for the reflection on the panel. This is a fun comparison. This is not designed for critical viewing or meant to be an exact like for like. When you have the opportunity to stand next to all these amazing panels, which you'll see in the gallery, you have to take advantage of them when they're there. Simply why I wanted to film this the day where I unboxed it was the C2 was not calibrated. The A80K was not calibrated. Very important if I'm going to compare them, if they're both going to be out of the box. Dwayne Davis of Value Electronics, the calibrator that is there, you guys all know Dwayne, calibrates such a large amount of panels, sometimes it's difficult to find one that's not yet calibrated. So I had the opportunity to shoot this panel, C2 versus the A80K, and this is just right now demo material on the A80K. I'll show you shortly the C2 as well, but giving you proper context that this isn't meant to be exactly like for like, and that we are in a very, very bright room. Sunlight above me, windows to my left. So this is not a critical viewing like for like comparison. I feel the need to say that. The A80K is further in the room. The LG C2 is closer to the window. But what I'd like to first discuss is that the 77-inch has a glossy panel. Now, if it's semi-glossy or glossy, it looks to be very similar to the C2, which I'll know more when I return there, hopefully this weekend, to shoot some gaming. And I may redo this comparison with the G2, even though the C2 is its actual competitor. Now, last year's A80J had a glossy panel. The challenge at 77 inches, the challenge was the 65 and 55 had a matte finish. For many of you, that is a challenge. For me, it's not how the image quality looks. I just like the way the display looks with a glossier finish. I do think the matte may help the reflection handling. But again, the reflections in this room are not really going to be indicative of what is in your bright room, as it's immensely bright. Now, as we go through the A80K here, again, really like the panel. It is an improvement, has the new panel from LG that the C2 and G2 also enjoys. We can expect a closer image to last year's A90J Master Series, as the C2 had gotten very close to that amazing panel from last year. The A90J does carry over. There is no 83-inch A80K. You do have improvements to the actuators for sound quality. The sound quality in the A80K is very good. The improvements are primarily using it also as a center channel with the HTA9 and the sound bars that Sony has this year. But I want to give you a little bit of context and a little bit of a look at the A80K before I show you the C2, which will arrive here in a moment. Demo materials provided by Jennifer Gala in the HDR Super Channel. Check the description below for Jennifer's amazing work, which you're seeing right at this moment. We're going to run through demo material on both from HDR and from SDR. And we'll run through the settings quickly on both momentarily, right after we finish this demo. Now, talking about like for like, this was done quickly on the fly. The last video also showed that the Sony does ship in standard. We will put the LG in standard as well, but we're going to turn off the processing in both in terms of noise reduction, advanced contrast enhancer, things of that nature. Get them as like for like as we can. A lot of times when you look at Sony and LG, getting the presets to look similar is difficult. Typically, I wouldn't leave it in its standard preset. However, being in this bright room, I need as much punch as I can. You can see the reflections there. You see we're going through the LG's presets here in standard. The designs are very different. The C2 is very, very light this year, very, very thin. The panel itself feels thin, and the stand is much lighter than it has been in the past. Now, the 83-inch does have a heavier stand than the others. The 55-inch is very, very light. Love the C2 this year, but CX was great, C1 is great. C2 for me, I did feel was an upgrade over the C1. I have the C1 and I enjoy it. There was a bit of a cleanliness to it. Whether it's pushing that through software or processing, I don't know, but I do feel it's a little bit of a cleaner image. Turning off super resolution, noise reduction, things of that nature that are going to give either one an edge. Now, things aren't always like for like. Dynamic tone mapping is on the standard, or is on the LG, and we will do brightness preferred on the Sony versus gradation preferred to try to keep them like for like in terms of brightness. Here we are stepping back. You can obviously see the glare on the C2, but you can also see how close they really are. Now, I'm going to be on a tripod, off a tripod. Forgive as I'm in the gallery, stepping away. There's me panning out to show you how far I can be at times because we have theater seats in the middle. And as you can tell, I had to push this BMW amazing speaker to the left out. But they both look amazing. Now, they are run through a splitter from an external device, so we're not using the apps from LG or Sony, so there's no edge there. Plus, I can sync them up. Now, a lot of you are asking, is the A80K much brighter than last year's A80J? I do feel it's a bit brighter, but almost in the way the C2 seems a bit brighter than the C1. But when you have panels like the A80J that was amazing last year, that kind of caught everybody off guard, incremental upgrades are fine. That's sometimes what we're looking for, is just some kind of upgrade. Look how beautiful that looks. C2 looks phenomenal. I do feel LG has caught up in some ways to Sony with their processing. The A90J was a true game changer last year, Master Series. But it does have a 2-year lifespan in terms of nothing else releases after it. So the A90J does carry over. A90J also has a heatsink. Both the C2 and the A80K do not. What I do like, though, again, Sony, their signature, natural, accurate, beautiful. LG doesn't do bad in this regard anymore. They're not as saturated as they once were. For me, for years, LG and the C8 and the C9 days, I actually liked them for that. They kind of reminded me of what a Samsung OLED would look like. Now we know with the SB95 what a Samsung OLED will look like. Now I'll return again, hopefully this weekend, to do some gaming on the A80K to see if it has any of the dimming that many of you experienced on the A80J. I didn't find it to be a huge problem on the A80J, but many of you that are sensitive to it did struggle. So I will make sure that I test it with a console to give you that full detail and if it dims, and I'll try and actually make it dim for you. But it'll be great to have VRR out of the box with what we have with Sony this year. And because we're dealing with OLEDs, we're not concerned with local dimming, shutting off, or anything like that. So we should have the full force of the A80K's picture quality. 77 inches is an amazing size. To me, the jump from 65 to 77, obviously it's not 65 to 75. That extra 2 inches is just more immersive. 77 just feels more rectangular, if that makes sense. When I go from a 77 to a 75, the 75 just feels more square, even though it's not. And the jump from 77 to 83 does feel massive, though it's only about 16%. 65 has now become the sweet spot for panel technology for many of you, but 77-inch panels, I know they seem very expensive to many of you guys, but those of you who have followed panel technology or TV technology for the last few years have known that 77-inch OLEDs with the C8 were $15,000. We are still in 4K. Now there you see the colors look a little bit different. That's really more of the settings than one panel doing what the other one isn't. Again, in some scenes they are like for like, and in other scenes they aren't. Shows you how they handle color differently. They are also on different stands. The A80K at 77 is on its low profile setting. There are 3 settings. Well, there's 4 actually. You can set it wide and high, narrow and high. So it would be up a little bit higher. I could have done that in this comparison, but again, I was short on time. And the table for the 77-inch LG C2 is a bit higher. If I get there this weekend and I get an opportunity to compare it to the G2, you'll see the Spears and Munsell disc. But if you shift your eyes, you can see that they're actually the same size. Now, for critical viewing, if you want to compare these, you need to butt them right up against each other, have them exactly at the same height, and obviously in a darker room. And I'll try and get that done for you guys next time I'm there. Now, the A80K VRR out of the box, HDMI 2.1, 4K 120, PS5 now has VRR, so a lot of the hindrance of Sony being a gaming panel is gone in regards to their OLED lineup. You see the reflections are pretty clear there. Now they seem more clear. The reflection handling looks better on the Sony. It does seem a bit better. However, that's where it is in the room. But it looks like the C2 has a glossier finish and the Sony may have a semi-gloss. Maybe that helps. I'll definitely get clarification on that for you, as well as if the 75 or the 55 and 65 are matte or not. I'll have that for you within the next video, or maybe perhaps even in these comments. Now, for Sony, still in regards to gaming, Dolby Vision gaming isn't going to be there. HGIG isn't going to be there. So those are things to think about if you're still considering it for gaming. But it has a gorgeous game mode. Sony's known for these beautiful game modes. So it's not a weakness as it once was. The A80J released with tremendous value. The A80K is slightly more expensive. Definitely check out Value Electronics website as the prices do change. But what a gift to be able to film these. Now, Robert has these panels 2 to 3 weeks before anybody else. And especially the 77-inch. This year, more than any other, in big box retail stores, we're not really seeing any new panels on their shelves. They are available via website, but it does disturb me a bit, and I'll be following up on another Best Buy walkthrough to seem like they're not getting those panels in for display. I do feel that if you're able to, you should still be able to do your research and then go see panels in person. That's not really happening anymore, and it's a shame. Now again, the LG is not struggling much more with reflections. It's where it is in the room, so I don't want to say that it's worse in that regard. It's just a little closer to the window. But I think we can agree they both look amazing. Now, getting closer, it seemed like on some of these scenes, the fur on the Sony was a bit more detailed, and that the LG seem to be doing more in regards to processing, meaning the detail on the Sony seemed more natural and refined, but on the LG it seemed like it was almost gamey, like it was trying to do more. So for critical viewing, we'll go into a cinema mode. We'll go in and try to disable everything we possibly can. The challenge is with those modes in a bright room, it's going to be hard to do any kind of real comparison. So again, we will return for critical viewing and do several more videos like this. In this room right now at Value Electronics, we have about 8 to 9 LG G2s, C2s of all different sizes. You can see the BMWs. Right next to us is the 65-inch X95K. Samsung S95B. There are several of those here as well. Not to mention even the tables that it's on are called, I think, believe Salamander. Very high-end equipment. You have a Hisense short throw projector screen behind it. I like to tell you what's in the store because for me it is like being a kid in a candy store that's also in a toy store who's also in an amusement park. So it is really cool. It's just hard when it's bright out.
Yeah. I mean, they're both standard.
Now let me know what you guys think in the comments. Where are you with these panels? Is it Sony? Is it the A80K? At the same time, the A80J, which I have, is an amazing panel, which is greatly reduced, or it's much more affordable. Same with the C1. Now, it would have been better for me if I had a C1 here versus the A80K or even an A80J. And while I think there are upgrades, you can't expect night and day upgrades when panels were already so good. C1, CX, the processing has come a long way. I believe it's on another level now, and it has caught up to Sony's processing. But Sony's signature processing of accuracy and their motion, that's their signature. Now, again, I keep saying this is not for critical viewing. It is in a very bright room. And to really do this properly, you do need them at their most basic, most accurate presets. The challenge is, as I mentioned earlier, it does not look good on camera in a bright room. Also meaning that in presets like standard or even in vivid, you may have some aliasing or some noise to the image. I didn't really see that here, but I think they look wonderful on camera here. And it's crazy to think, as I mentioned, that 77-inch displays just a few years ago was like a dream. I actually have a video on the C8 that I filmed 3 years ago saying that it's what I dream about would have a 77-inch OLED. And I think the price at that point was $13,500. And here I am filming this, and as I'm doing the narration of this, I'm looking at my 83-inch C1. Very exciting times. We have larger LEDs. We have, X92, 100-inch, QN90A, 98 inches. You're going to see an LG 97-inch very soon. Very exciting time. And we have not seen the 8K lineup from LG yet. We expect to see the Z2 very soon, as well as the offerings from Samsung. But let me know what you think in the comments. I want to thank each and every one of you for watching, for your friendship, for your kindness, and for your support. And again, as I always say, special thank you to Robert and Wendy, their hospitality and generosity. It is not easy shooting in their store and not interrupting their business. So thank you to them. Thank you to you guys. Love you guys. See you in the comments.